Hi, in this video, we will solve all the problems from ordinary differential equation section which are asked in 2013 June exam from CSIR NET. So here is the first problem, question number 33. And this question is from part B. That means only one option will be correct. And this question is of 3 marks. So let's read the problem. Question number 33. Consider the initial value problem dy dx is equals to y square and the initial condition is y0 is equals to 1. Then there exists a unique solution of this initial value problem in which interval. Here 4 intervals are given. We have to choose the correct interval where the solution, the unique solution will exist, right? Okay, so if we solve the problem that dy dx is equals to y square, and using this initial condition, we will get this solution. Yx is equals to 1 by 1 minus x. And this solution, y is equals to 1 by 1 minus x, this will exist in whole R except the point x equals to 1. That means x must be not equals to 1 in the region. Now, if you take a look on the options, in option 1, you can see that the point 1 belongs to this interval minus infinity, infinity. Okay, that means option 1 is incorrect. In option 2, 1 does not belongs to this interval. Okay, so option 2 that will be correct. In option 3, 1 belongs to this interval. So option 3 is incorrect. And similarly, in option 4, 1 belongs to this interval. So option 4 is incorrect. Okay, so this option, option 2 minus infinity 1, that will be the correct option. Next problem. Question number 25. Consider the equation of an ideal planar pendulum given by this. So this is the equation of an ideal planar pendulum. Okay. And here this x denotes the angle of displacement. For sufficiently small angles of displacement. For sufficiently small angles of displacement. Why this statement is given? Sufficiently small angles of displacement. I will discuss about this point when I will solve this problem. So the solution is given by, here 4 options are given. So simply if we solve this problem, that d2x dt2 is equals to minus sine x. This is our given problem. And here given the sufficiently small angles. And when the angle is sufficiently small, in that case, sine x that will be equal to x. Sine x that will be considered as equal to x. Okay, so this equation number 1 will become d2x dt2 is equals to minus x. And simply now let's solve this problem. And you will get d2x dt2 plus x is equals to 0. Now auxiliary equation is m square plus 1 is equals to 0 and m is equals to plus minus I. That means purely imaginary. Purely imaginary. So we will get the oscillatory solutions. So the solutions will be xt is equals to a cos t plus b sin t. Now check the options. Here in option D, that means 4. In option 4, you can see xt is equals to a cos t b sin plus b sin t. So option 4 that will be the correct option and all other options are incorrect. Next problem. Question number 32. Basically, this problem is from integral equation, but we can solve the problem in differential equation section also. Let's read the problem. The general solution of the differential equation d2y dx2 plus y is equals to f of x. And this x is from whole real numbers, minus infinity to plus infinity. And here given this f is continuous and real valued function on minus infinity to infinity. And a, b, c, and k, these are the arbitrary constants. These arbitrary constants are used in these 4 options. Okay, now we have to check what will be the general solutions of this differential equation. Okay, so if we go through the options and if we go in reverse process, we easily get this differential equation. So first check the option 1. Okay, so in option 1, yx is equals to a cos x plus b sin x plus integration 0 to x ft sin x minus t dt. Now, if we differentiate this integral equation, then we will get the given differential equation. For this, we will use Lagrange differentiation method. Now, let me tell you what is Lagrange differentiation method. Suppose we have an integral part, integration, suppose gx, this is our lower limit, to hx, this is our upper limit, and the function is f xt. F is a function of x and t, and we have to integrate this with respect to t, right? Now this total integral part, we have to differentiate it with respect to x. Now how we can differentiate it? Now the Lagrange differentiation method is, first this is equals to integration as it is the limit gx to hx. Now differentiate this f with respect to x. So del f del x, this will be dt, plus replace t with the upper limit. So this will be f x hx. Now differentiate the upper limit with respect to x. So dh dx minus. Now replace t with the lower limit. So f x gx and differentiate the lower limit with respect to x, dg dx. Now here in our given problem, here upper limit, that means hx. Hx is equals to x, and the lower limit, that means gx, this is equals to 0. Okay, and this is our whole fxt. Okay, now in first part, integration gx to hx del f del x dt, this is dt. Okay, so if we differentiate this part ft sin x minus t dt with respect to x, so this will be ft cos x minus t dt. Now in second part, fx hx, that means this t will be replaced by x, that means ft cos fx cos x minus x, that means cos 0. Okay, and this x, so this will be dx by dx, that means 1. Okay, now minus t will be replaced by gx, that means 0, and here dg dx, that will be 0. So that's why this part is negligible. Okay, so this is our first differentiate form. Now again in the same method, if we differentiate, we will get the double derivative y double dash x, and from here, if you take a look on the right hand side, you can see here that this portion minus a cos x minus b sin x minus integration 0 to x ft sin x minus t dt plus f of x. Sorry, here there will be a function f of x, because for here if when we will differentiate it dh dx, that will be 1, and replace t by x, so we will get here plus f of x. Okay, so we will get here plus f of x. So here this is f of x. Let me check once again. Sorry, this will be, yes, this is correct, this is correct. Okay, so let's, if we this minus a cos x minus b sin x minus integration 0 to x ft sin x minus t dt, this is nothing but this is our yx, and if we take the negative sign out of, take negative sign common from this portion, so this will be minus y, and this is plus f of x. So it becomes y double dash x plus y is equals to f of x. So this is our, if we take a look on the given differential equation, here you can see that d2y dx2 plus y is equals to f of x. So this is our the given differential equation. So in first option, we are getting the correct differential form. Okay, correct solution. So option 1, that will be the correct option. Going to the next problem, question number 94. That means this problem is from part C. That means 4.75 marks, and one or more options can be true. Consider the boundary value problem BVP u double dash is equals to minus f. And here the conditions are u0 is equals to u double dash 1 is equals to 0 on this interval, closed interval 0, 1. Okay, and here given u dash is equals to du dx, u double dash equals to dt u dx2. Assume fx is a real valued continuous function on this interval, closed interval 0, 1. Then which of the following are correct? And all the options are asking about the Green's function. So basically we have to find out that what is the Green's function of this given differential equation. Before that, we have to check this differential equation contains the Green's function or not. That's why first convert the given differential equation into a homogeneous part. That means LU, this is equals to 0. So this will be u double dash is equals to 0. And the solution will be ux is equals to ax plus b. Now, if you use the boundary condition, the boundary conditions are u0, this is equals to 0, and u double dash 1, this is equals to 0. So if you use these conditions, you will get the trivial solutions ux is equals to 0. Okay, this is the trivial solutions. Now, from this general solution, we can consider the Green's function. For that, we have to take 4 arbitrary constants a1, a2, b1, b2. And the Green's function will be of this form. Gx zeta, this is equals to a1x plus a2 in the interval from 0 to zeta. You may take the equality sign also. And b1x plus b2 when the interval is from zeta to 1, you may take the equality sign also. Why you can take this equality sign? Because we know that Green's function is continuous. That's why we can use this equality sign. Okay. Number 2, step 2. Since Green's function is continuous, so we can say gxt at x is equals to zeta plus and at x is equals to zeta minus, this will be equal. So when x is equals to zeta plus, this is our Green's function. So that will be b1 zeta plus b2. This is equals to a1 zeta plus a2. Okay. So finally, we are getting this equation number 2, b1 minus a1 zeta plus b2 minus a2. This is equals to 0. The second condition is, or third property of Green's function is del g del x at x is equals to zeta plus minus del g del x at x is equals to zeta minus, this is equals to minus 1. Why minus 1? Because here p0 equals to coefficient of the double derivative term. Here you can see u double dash. The coefficient of u double dash is 1. That's why this will be minus 1. Okay. So del g del x at x is equals to zeta plus. This is our zeta. And in zeta plus b1x plus b2. If we put x equals to zeta, so this will be b1 zeta plus b2. And if we differentiate it, so this will be b1. Similarly, for the interval 0 to zeta, this will be a1. So finally, what we are getting? We are getting b1 minus a1. This is equals to minus 1. And this is our equation number 3. The fourth property of Green's function is Green's function always satisfy the boundary condition. Here the boundary conditions are, this is the boundary conditions, u0, this is equals to 0, and u dashed 1, this is not double dashed, this will be single dashed, u dashed 1, this is equals to 0. So since Green's function are satisfying these two conditions, so this will be g0, this is equals to 0, and g dashed 1, this is equals to 0. Okay, now using these two conditions we are getting this form. G0 at the point x equals to 0, at the point x equals to 0, the Green's function is a1x plus a2. That means if we put x equals to 0, so this will be a2. So g0 equals to 0, from here we are getting a2 is equals to 0. And similarly, from the second condition, we are getting b1 is equals to 0. Now we have to solve all these equations from equation number 2 to 5. And we will get the values of those four arbitrary constants a1, a2, b1, and b2. Now, if we take a look on equation number 4, we already have gotten the values of a2. a2 is equals to 0, and from equation number 5, b1, this is equals to 0. So we have to get the values of a1 and b2. From equation number 3, b1 minus a1, this is equals to minus 1. And since b1 is equals to 0, so a1, that will be equals to 1. And from the equation, from this equation, equation number 2, b1 minus a1, this is equals to minus 1. That means minus zeta. And b2 minus a2. b2 is equals to, we have to find out the value of b2. So plus b2, and a2 is equals to 0. So this is equals to 0. So b2, this is equals to zeta. So b2 is equals to zeta, b1 equals to 0, a2 is equals to 0. Now use these values in equation number 1. That means in this equation of gx zeta. If we use here, we will get this Green's function. Gx zeta, this is equals to x when x is in 0 to zeta. And this is equals to zeta when the x is in zeta to 1. Okay, so now take a look on the options. Option 1 is saying that the Green's function is gx zeta, this is equals to x in this interval, and zeta, this is equals to in this interval. So option 1 is correct. Both g and del g del x are continuous on closed interval 0, 1 cross 0, 1 with del 2 g del x2 having discontinuity along x is equals to zeta. Yes, this option 2, this is also correct by the property of Green's function. Okay. Now in option 3 is saying that gx zeta satisfies the homogeneous equation u double dash is equals to 0 for 0 less than equals to x less than zeta and zeta less than x less than equals to 1. Yes, this is also correct. Gx zeta, that will satisfy the homogeneous equation. And option 4, the solution of the given boundary value problem is this. Let's take a look on this option 4. Here we have ux, this is equals to integration 0 to 1 gx zeta f zeta d zeta. Because this is the property of Green's function, we can write the solution in this form. Okay, and since Green's function is continuous, so we can break this interval 0 to 1. So this will be from 0 to x gx zeta f j dj and x to 1 gx zeta f j dj. Okay, so integration 0 to x, here the Green's function in this interval, here the variable is x, but in our given integration the variable is zeta. So first of all, we have to convert this Green's function into the variable of zeta. So this will be gx x zeta, this is equals to zeta when 0 less than equals to zeta less than equals to x, and this will be x when x less than equals to zeta less than equals to 1. Okay, first convert this into this. Why we can convert in this form? Because we know that Green's function gxi, this is symmetric. Okay, now in 0 to x, gxi, this is equals to what? This is our 0 to x, so gxi, this is equals to xi, so xi f xi dxi. Okay, and in x to 1, this is equals to x, so this will be x f xi dxi in x to 1 interval. So option D, this is also correct. Option 4, this is also correct. Okay, next problem. Question number 119. This problem is from part C and contains 4.75 marks, and one or more options can be true. Consider the boundary value problem u double dash plus lambda u equals to 0, and here the two conditions are u0 is equals to 0 and u dash pi, this is equals to 0. Let k denote a non-negative integer. Then which of the following are correct? And 4 options are given. We have to find out the eigen values and eigen functions in 4 options. So the given equation is y double dash plus lambda u is equals to 0, and these two are given conditions. So the auxiliary equation is m square plus lambda, this is equals to 0, and this lambda is our eigenvalue, and we don't know the value of lambda. This lambda is positive, negative, or 0. That's why we are getting 3 cases. In case 1, we are considering lambda is 0. In case 2, we are considering lambda is negative. And in case 3, we will consider that lambda is positive. So when lambda is equals to 0, in that case, we are getting that the solution is trivial solutions. And we know that in trivial solutions, we cannot get any eigenvalue, right? So let's go to the case 2, when lambda is negative. So lambda is negative. That means let us consider lambda is less than minus mu square. So the auxiliary equation is m square minus mu square equals to 0, and m is equals to plus minus mu. So the solution will be ux equals to c1 e to the power mu x plus c2 e to the power minus mu x, and c1, c2 are arbitrary constants. And using the given conditions, again we are getting c1, c2, this is equals to 0. That means again trivial solutions. So again we cannot choose case 2, because in this case again we are getting the trivial solutions. So let's go to the case 3. In case 3, we are taking positive eigenvalues. Lambda is greater than 0. So let us consider lambda is equals to p square. Okay, so the auxiliary equation is m square plus p square equals to 0, and we are getting m is equals to plus minus ip. And using the boundary conditions, you will get this form c2p cos p pi, this is equals to 0. And from first boundary condition, we are getting c1 equals to 0. So from this equation, we have 2 choices. Either this c2 that will be 0, or this part p cos p pi, this will be 0. Now if we choose c2 equals to 0, then again we will get the trivial solutions. That means we cannot take c2 equals to 0. So c2 is not equals to 0. So obviously cos p pi, this will be 0. So cos p pi equals to 0. That means this p will be k plus half. Why? Because cos 2k plus 1 into pi by 2, this is equals to 0. That means this p, this is equals to 2k plus 1 by half. So this is equals to k plus half. Okay, so p is equals to k plus half, and we have taken lambda is equals to p square. That means lambda, this will be k plus half whole square. Okay, so our eigenvalue is k plus half whole square, and similarly the eigenfunction will be from this figure c2 sine px, because c1 is 0, so ux this is equals to c2 sine px, and p is equals to k plus half, so this will be c2 sine k plus half x. Okay, so this is our eigenfunction. Now take a look on the options. Option 1 is saying that there exist eigenvalues of the boundary value problem and the corresponding eigenfunctions constitute an orthogonal set. We will check on this orthogonal property. Let's take a look on option 2. The eigenvalues of the boundary value problem is k plus half whole square. Yes, this is correct. And the corresponding eigenfunctions is this. Yes, option 2 is correct. Option 3. The eigenvalues of the boundary value problem are k plus 1 whole square. No, this is incorrect. There exists no non-real eigenvalue for the boundary value problem. No non-real eigenvalue. What is meant by no non-real eigenvalue? Non-real, that means complex. We may consider complex. That means there exists no complex eigenvalue. And here the eigenvalues are k plus half, and k is from natural number. So it is true that there is no complex eigenvalue. So option 4 is correct. Now we will solve, or we will discuss about the orthogonal property. We know that the eigenvalues of a problem, the eigenvalues, from the eigenvalues we are getting these eigenfunctions, and we know that eigenfunctions corresponding to the distinct eigenvalues. Why distinct? Because this k, this is our eigenvalue, this k are from natural number. Okay, so there is no chance that this will not be distinct. Okay, because if k is from integer, so there is a possibility that if k is equals to 1 and minus 1, then in that case we may get non-distinct eigenvalue. But here k is from natural number. That's why all the eigenvalues are distinct. And for distinct eigenvalues, the eigenfunctions that will be orthogonal. Okay, so option D. So option D, option 4, this is also correct, and option 1, this is also correct. Let's go into the next problem, question number 120. This is an initial value problem. So dy dx is equals to x y to the power 1 by 3, and the condition is y0 equals to 0, and the numbers or the elements x y, those are from r cross r. Then which of the following are correct? Option 1, the function f(xy) is equals to x y to the power 1 by 3 does not satisfy Lipschitz condition with respect to y in any neighborhood of y equals to 0. So we have to find out the Lipschitz property in the neighborhood of y equals to 0. Number 2, there exists a unique solution. Number 3, there exists no solution. Number 4, there exists more than one solutions. If this equation or the function, this function satisfy the Lipschitz condition, then it will have unique solution. If it does not satisfy the Lipschitz condition, then it will have no solution or more than one solution. Okay, so basically we have to solve this Lipschitz property. Okay, so if we solve this equation dy dx equals to x y to the power 1 by 3, by solving this equation using the initial condition, we are getting yx equals to x square by 3 whole to the power 3 by 2. Now given function is f of xy, this is equals to x y to the power 1 by 3. Now by the Lipschitz property, mod of fxy1 minus fxy2 by mod of y1 minus y2. So this is equals to this form, okay, because f of xy equals to xy to the power 1 by 3. Now in the neighborhood of y equals to 0, this function or this term, this will goes to infinity. That means this is unbounded. So since this is unbounded, Lipschitz condition is not satisfying. This is not satisfying our Lipschitz conditions. Since this is not satisfying our Lipschitz conditions, that means there does not exist unique solution. Does not exist unique solutions. So let's take a look on the options. Option 1, this is saying that the function f of xy equals to xy to the power 1 by 3 does not satisfy Lipschitz condition. Yes, this is correct. Option 2 is there exists a unique solutions. Since it is not satisfying Lipschitz condition, so option 2, that will not have unique solutions. So option 2 is incorrect. There exist no solutions. This is incorrect. Why? Because here in the initial condition, it is given that y0, this is equals to 0. That means there exists at least one solution. So option 3 is incorrect. Since it is not satisfying the Lipschitz conditions, so we have two choices. Either there will be no solutions, and we have already proved that there is no chance of no solutions. So only one possibility is there, that it will have more than one solutions. Option 4 is saying that there exist more than one solutions for the initial value problem. So option 4, that will be correct option. So for this problem, option 1 and option 4, that will be the correct options. I think this is the last problem in 2013 June from ordinary differential equation sections. So I have solved all the problems which are asked in 2013 June. If you are satisfied with my solutions and my videos, then please share it with your friends and stay with us. Thank you.